Good morning and welcome to the August 7th special session. We have a full quorum. Carrie, you certified me with probably posted. If you'll please rise for prayer and pledges. James Ray.
Our Father, we humbly bow before you this morning, thanking you for the blessings that each one of us have received. Father, we just ask for rain this morning. Father, it is so dry down here on earth. Father, we call upon you, because you're the only one that can send. Father, we ask, Lord, that you give these gentlemen in the Commissioner's Court the wisdom that they need to make the decisions for the residents of Walker County. Father, we ask, Lord, that you continue to walk with us and lead us and guide us as you by your Holy Spirit. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, God, one and indivisible.
All right, we got 3 items on consent agenda. I just have a correction for number 2. It's not courthouse gazebo, it'd be the DA's parking lot. And it's correct on the facility use form.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
Go
ahead.
Rule number 2, please.
Okay, rule number 2.
And then I'll make a motion, we accept number 23.
I'll second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion pass carries. Number
On
2.
number 2, I know this has been going on for a couple of years. I don't remember exactly how long, but I had a problem last year, and I don't know that we realized, or maybe we did, that they're charging for parking down there. The problem I have with it is, it's fair on the square and it's a public parking lot. And, I don't know, I don't have a problem with what they're doing. It's just, I would probably rather see it be donations, not charging to park down there. I mean, it is the people's parking lot. So it's just a concern I have.
Well, I share the same concern also. I didn't realize that until you said it,
Yeah.
but it does belong to the public. The public owns it. You charge them to park on it. I would go along with a donation and not a charge.
So what
it may open up is, they could come back, we'd be doing the same thing at the annex if somebody asked.
That's what I was going, what we do fair and square for the annex.
Yeah. It's
Vendors are in there.
Yeah, all the vendors.
But they sell a spot.
Are they
The
parked? in
commerce does, right? Not us.
there? Yeah.
And then the chamber sells a spot, not the
Yeah.
county. I don't know, but I have an issue with it too. And I'll make a motion to deny it.
But that point he made is pretty true point. It has to be like all or nothing.
Yeah.
Can't be it's okay for you to sell a spot, but not okay for you to sell a spot.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they were charging for.
Wrestling Club, or they using it to collect money?
They're selling a spot as a fundraiser.
It's a
For the
fundraiser,
club.
Yeah,
but they're charging. I mean, you come in there, you're gonna pay.
yeah. And parking is horrible during that thing anyhow. And so,
Mhm.
I don't know. I didn't think about the annex parking either,
I think
but it does make.
I think my thought this year would be to let it go as what we have, because it's 60 days away or whatever. They must look at legally what we're allowed to do and make sure that it is what's good for one is good for all. Because
So they rent out spots. I didn't.
Yeah.
I guess inside the annex parking lot.
Well, they do it in the city of Huntsville right of ways on the roads also. So there's all that.
Well, I know they do it in the city, on the city right of ways up and
Yeah.
down the square.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize they were renting out spots inside the parking lot at the annex.
Yeah. So we probably need to do a little
Yeah,
research.
but see, I mean, really, it's not us that's renting it.
Well,
though.
that's true.
No.
I mean, that's coming from the Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
Something they need to
So
discuss.
I still
Well,
have, I'm kind of like you. I got an issue with it. And I
Yeah, Ronnie got a motion and I'm gonna give him a second and we'll see where it goes.
All right, moving seconded to deny number 2. All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed?
well,
So we're gonna revisit it next year though.
Yeah.
Not next year.
We need to figure it out.
Yeah, not next year. I think we're just going to just task our DA with finding out what we can do.
Do we still need to have a motion to approve it?
Yeah, I think I'll make the motion to approve
Okay.
agenda item number 2 as presented.
All right, moving second to approve number 2. All in favor, raise your right hand. Brandon,
Brandon second. Yeah, so
All opposed.
it's not the best thing, but
Motion
but it
passes
gets
three
its
to two.
passage here, so.
And number 4. Receive updated status of EMS and discuss future options to improve the service. Ms. Parker.
Morning, Rachel.
Morning.
Chris.
Yes, good morning.
Right, so Chris has been working pretty hard on getting us some numbers for our local that, as requested. Taken us several weeks, and we've had to use some outside help and resources, to get these numbers for you guys. So I'm gonna let him explain it since he's the first guy.
So, back on that slide number 2. So these were our level 0 counts between June 1st of 22 and May 31st of 23. And so going through over 9,500 calls, 158 times we were level 0 with no ambulance to respond to a call. The cumulative time frame, I know the Corey kind of asked for, they'd like to know how long all of those combined came out to be 45.7 hours. So almost 2 days worth of 0 ambulance coverage. And go to slide number 2. We tried to correlate these by time of day. And so on this kind of Pareto chart here, the very first column is 2:29 to 5:53, and that's 47 or 41. Sorry, I can't see.
It's like 41.
41 of those calls occurred in that 2-hour time frame. So our task now is going to try to break down that 2-hour time frame as an organization, figure out what's happening during this 2-hour time frame. It does correlate with our high call volume times system wide. But if we can do, if we go to slide number 3, day of week is Saturday, which is that doesn't feel like it's Saturday because typically we feel like Mondays are a busier day, but the numbers are basically showing that Saturday is has the most occurrences of our high call volume and when we get level 0. And then slide number 5, these are the response delays. Now, this is the one that really kind of concerns us the most. 29 of those 158 times we had to either sit on a call or call mutual aid to Montgomery County or some other provider to come in because we had no ambulances clearing up anytime soon. And the average time delay was 40 minutes to get a unit on scene. So those delays between 0 and 7.5 minutes, that accounted for 80% of those delays. So if we can do something to get to save us 7.5 minutes, whether that's, on scene at the hospital, something in dispatch where we can kind of make our processes a little more efficient, we fix 80% of our problem. Just in that first 7.5 minutes. Now, we do have, significant other delays going up all the way to 37.5 minutes. And it's not uncommon with other organizations, other departments, and other counties to hit level 0. That's a common thing. It's more common now than it used to be. But a lot of other departments have things in place to mitigate this and to deal with it when it happens. Now, a lot of them have first responder organizations that respond. At least someone's going, even if an ambulance isn't there yet. We can get some basic life saving on scene, and we have that at a lot of our departments. Currently inside the city, we do not have that option. So, and if we go to the last one, this is just a breakdown of those 29 calls that we had to hold or send out. That's a breakdown of the patient complaint. So most of those are pretty time sensitive. I mean, there's a choking, chest pains, hemorrhage, laceration, stroke, CVAs, heart attacks, like those are all pretty time sensitive. And that's what's concerning for us. It's just that we've got 158 instances over the course of a year. And most of that time we kind of skated by, and we were lucky. 29 times we were not lucky and had to either sit on a call or send out mutual aid for it, which is coming typically from Montgomery County. It's a really only reliable mutual aid is coming from down south. So we've got some ideas on how to fix these, a couple of things in the short term as well as the long term. I think Rachel's gonna hit.
Yeah, so we've been talking it over, and there's a few little things that we can tweak to our internal policies and procedures to help with that. But kind of a goal for ours, when we came in was to implement some kind of community health, community paramedic, mobile integrated health component to our department. And that's not something that happens overnight, right? So it starts very small, and then you build it to fit your agency. So the main goal of moving forward, one of the things that would help the most with a lot of these calls is to identify our high utilizer groups. These are our frequent patients that we pick up. We know their name, their birthday, their address, what they're calling for when they call. We have a ton of them. And they don't always need an ambulance. They don't always need to go to the hospital. So identifying them and kind of working forward is one thing we're looking at. So some other, options, we have telemedicine, triaging patients from dispatch when a call comes in, more community outreach and like a community paramedic component as well. So our high utilizer groups, like I said, these are our frequent patients. They don't always need a 911 response. They generally have multiple chronic, uncontrolled medical conditions. They either don't have the family support, they have low income, they don't have transportation, things like that. And so they just kind of rely on calling 911 and we get them what they need. So what that does is it overloads our ERs. It's a lot of bills that don't get paid by those patients. Mental health patients are a large component of that as well. And they kind of bog down the ER too, because the ERs aren't, especially when in town, is not equipped to really sit on mental health type patients. So we have some telehealth options, and there are some benefits to it. One component that we've been looking at, we've had several meetings, grant funded, it would be free for the county, is going out on patients. We evaluate and treat and give medical advice on every single call that we go on. So that's not out of the ordinary for EMS. So going out to these patients and saying, okay, you called us, this doesn't warrant a trip to the ER. This is not something that the ER is going to treat. You need a primary care doctor. You need, whatever you might need. We refer them to like a telehealth person, get a refusal on them. We don't transport them, but they follow up with telehealth and they can help them set their doctor's appointments or point them in the right direction, or even order meds for them. That's an option. And then another option is triaging patients when they call 911, which would be a project between us and dispatch. We've talked with Anthony a little bit on it. And it basically dictates what kind of EMS response they get. So you might have this low acuity, not life-threatening complaint. So dispatch can say, okay, well, within this time frame, you'll have an ambulance, but we're not sending one emergently to you now because either we're busy, we don't have the trucks for it, or it's just a lower level response. So we have a certain time frame to get a truck there. And then they would be non-emergent responses out to those patients. So we're not driving through town with lights and sirens to a non-critical patient, essentially. More community outreach. We've been working with that with our PR team. We have events constantly now, it seems like, but health fairs, Vial of Life has been pretty successful. Figuring out what kind of disease prevention we can do in the community, fall risk, looking at that. We have a very high level of fall patients. So what can we do to kind of mitigate that just with community outreach and education and training? So another thing is, helping us to kind of make addresses more visible, more accessible, so we can get them the care we need. Car seat checks. There's a whole host of like community outreach we can do to mitigate the problems, but ultimately, like what would head up all of that and kind of put it all together would be a community paramedic position, which we would be a couple years away from implementing that. But this position is it fills the gaps between EMS and the hospital. provides follow-up care for patients that have been discharged for the hospital. It recognizes those high utilizer groups and what can we do to keep them out of the hospital and out of the EMS system. They work with hospice, they work with home health. They take referrals from our crew, so our crew could come to them and be like, man, we've been out on this address 5 times in the last 2 weeks. We really think you need to follow up with Miss So-and-so. She doesn't have any family support. She doesn't have a vehicle. She doesn't have, whatever she needs. So this would help our community. Mainly that, that's the point. So we would look to going in that direction. And there's several ways it could be funded, whether it's on grants, if supplementing our budget, hospital partners, Medicaid, Medicare, insurance are kind of supplementing for that kind of thing now too. You can go to the next. Training, as of now, the state of Texas doesn't have a specific program, but the International Board of Specialty Certifications does. And that, certification that, critical care paramedics get, flight paramedics get, tactical paramedics get. So it's up there as kind of a high level certification that you can obtain. But within the state currently, you kind of build your program to fit what your department and your community needs. So that's kind of where we would be at. One model doesn't fit for every department, but just to sum it up, these are some areas just around here that have successful programs. Northwest EMS is about the same size as us, slightly smaller. Williamson County, same thing. Harris County Emergency Corps has had one for about the last 3 years. Fort Bend County EMS has one, and then the larger departments, San Antonio, Austin, Travis County, and MCHG all have successful programs. And the EMS community is very willing to share this information. So I can pick up the phone, call my friend down in Harris County, and happy to help us with whatever we need. So I think it's something that we need to start looking more into, especially as the county grows and become more populated. So just some ideas.
Good information.
It was a very good presentation.
Yes, it was. It's eye opening.
The stuff that Chris was talking about is real hard to read from here. The other one was pretty clear. Can we get a copy of it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that would be helpful anyhow, I think.
Well, I know down there, Brandon might could answer this question, but I know down south and in the Waverly area, they have paramedics at the fire departments. Do they assist y'all when y'all are?
Yeah, so New Waverly's great. They come on every call that we're dispatched to. They're sending somebody. Generally it's a paramedic, but if they don't, if they're tied up on another call or they don't have a paramedic, they're sending whatever crew.
Seems like here lately, all of our calls have been running in pairs, so whenever they go out to one call, send the paramedics with the ambulance, they get that patient loaded up, going, and another one to drop. Now we're just like the rest of the county. We send our EMTs, our paramedics, whatever's left, goes to that call, waits for an ambulance to come out of Huntsville to come down and transport or do whatever we need to do. So,
I do have a little pause on the dispatch. Trying to, I guess, categorize all, their job is to collect information. And I know they do, some CPR stuff and stuff like that, but and Anthony's kind of an exception because he is, he does ride the ambulance. He has been a fireman for a long time. But I don't know that I totally agree with dispatch given out. Is this a necessity or not? It seems like it's a little bit more liability on our part. Because we've got dispatch making the call versus y'all being there making the call. So I do kind of worry about that a little bit.
And that's not necessarily something that we would go to, it's just options.
Yeah, and I understand, and it's not a bad option. It just depends on how good your dispatch is trying,
A lot of times when we are hitting that level 0 status, we do have calls holding. It comes back on our supervisor to dictate, okay, we have 3 calls holding. What truck am I, which patient is getting an ambulance
priority
first. And so
Yeah.
You might have called first, so your call is holding longer, but you have toe pain and this person has chest pain. So our supervisors do a really good job of triaging.
You know, when you first, y'all were coming to court pretty regular, you know, giving us updates. I would like to see, I don't know about the court, but I would like to see it a little more regular.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we have, you know, everybody department reports once a month, and you know, it's keeping us in the loop of what's going on.
Yeah, we're happy to do it.
Yeah. And I think on really on the whole plan, if we decide to go forward with it, being that there's a bunch of other people that did it, my hopes that we would go to most of them and say, you know, how do you do it? 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 Because I'm with you. You can't have, hi, I'm Shelley at dispatch. I've been here 27 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and
Yeah, I want a cardiac. call.
yeah, I want to go ahead and refer you. So somebody out there has, I'm sure another court or a city council or a commission or somebody has said, y'all need to figure out how to make this so, you know, so the right actions get taken. So enough people have done it. So on the zero status, how often do we call Montgomery County and they say we can't come?
So that was one that was a little harder to figure out. Out of all those 29, going back and looking at the ones that either they said we can't come or we can't come yet. And that's why you saw average hold times of 30 or 40 minutes with median hold times of 30. Sometimes we're having to wait just for one of our trucks to clear because MCHD, or they'll say we got one coming, but it's coming from south of the Woodlands. They have a 45-minute ETA and our truck is at the hospital about to clear up. So we'll say, never mind, I'll just wait for these guys to clear up. And so that'd be a little harder to find out. I can do that.
No, that's fine. No, that's fine.
Each into one of those, but
Are they pretty much our only mutual aid asset?
unfortunately.
Okay, because we,
We've had Ventura mutual aid us a few times, and when they're able, they do. But they don't have many trucks, and I think they're pretty much stuck running all of Trinity County. St. Joe's EMS, they're, you know, to the north and the west of us, same thing, super long response times, because they're generally coming way out Highway 30 or from Madisonville. And they're generally, I don't think they're very
There's
reliable.
nobody close to us, basically.
yeah, we're pretty
And we're not
much,
gonna get anybody from our regions, because they're too far away, so it's mainly Montgomery County.
yeah. I think it's a good path to go down. First, it'll help the people, you know, get a nice smaller bill versus a ambulance ride. Bill may not pay, I don't know that part, but at least I'll have that big bill. Probably a healthier community on top of that, and it also could maybe help us as far as our staffing here, as far as maybe reducing, like say, the amount of broken toes that you had to take to the EMS, to the EMR emergency room for that, and not being able to answer another one. So
How much mutual aid do we give like Grimes, Madison, San Jacinto, Trinity?
Trinity, we had mutual aided. I ran that stat in July and we had mutual aided just this year to date was 78 times to Trinity County. And that is not including the mutual aid request we've denied, that because we've either had low levels or we're not going to level our county to mutual aid Trinity. If we only have one ambulance, sorry, we can't. And they've been pretty understanding about that. We are mutual aiding them a lot. San Jacinto County, all the way into Polk to Onalaska sometimes, once every 2 months maybe. And a lot of times our crews will get almost all the way out there and then get disregarded because they have a first responder on scene who says, hey, it was just a fall, we helped them up, y'all can turn around and go. A lot of times they do make scene. So.
Yeah, I think we kind of push it onto our supervisors, because they know kind of the tempo of the day, right? So if they've been super busy, even if we have the ability to do it, if they feel uneasy about it, they won't send a truck. They're all kind of agreed, and we've kind of agreed not to send a truck if we only have 3 nights available. Sorry. Hold on to our trucks, because it only takes one bad wreck to, you know, take both of those trucks out of service. So.
And leaving that one truck in the county would typically be New Waverly, just based on call volume. And now they're responding further and then having to go out of their district, come up to Huntsville to run the next call.
yeah,
So it's kind of a shell game, but we'd like to prevent playing the game period if we could, as far as just having the right things in the right places. So
all right. I think it'd be a fun thing to look at. And maybe a formal serious presentation as part of next year budget stuff. And I like Commissioner Kirkendall's idea of y'all show up kind of regular with some ideas.
Reach out to those people at HGC with the aging division. See
Yeah, I
what
looked
they-
into that a bit and they have a few components of it that would fit, but their program is a little bit different than. But it's definitely a good resource. And good for-
Awesome.
Appreciate y'all bringing it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, number 5, discuss and take action to approve purchase for paint, plumbing, and electrical work at the district attorney's building. Larry?
One, Larry.
Oh, that's awesome.
You got all kinds of folks in here.
So this is in response to the message I got from Ms. Patricia about court consensus for funding these this year. Paint had been bid out. The electric was not bid out, the lower cost of it. And the plumbing was bid out. These were the lowest bids that we received on this piece of work there.
Get you moving forward in the DA's office, right?
Yes, yes, sir. This would, if this was approved, this would complete that
And
project.
you got money in projects, I'm assuming.
The suggestion was for this to come from facility projects.
That would be my motion.
I'll second your motion.
Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion
Thanks, Larry.
carries. Thank you, Larry. Number 6, discuss and take action to approve purchase for windows and flooring work at the adult probation building.
And it was, they were looking to convert their regular service windows, which are tempered glass to coated windows. And lowest bid I got on that was that's for a level 1 bullet resistant.
All this was approved and we approved all this during
The first budget work.
budget workshop. Okay,
Yes, sir. Well, just asking to get multiple bids on this.
okay.
And the flooring in the adult probation building, that's for 20 odd room offices, and I think 3 large conference rooms. Quite a bit of labor that's on it, but there's gonna be quite a bit of labor involved. We're gonna move furniture in the long hallway to work down. That also was the lowest bid that we received on that. And the suggestion for that was to have it come from adult probation support general fund on the probation.
Ms. Patricia?
Sufficient funds. It would need to come from building projects.
Building projects.
That'd be my motion then.
So
Moving seconded, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries.
thank you, Larry.
I'm late on it. Sorry.
That's okay. I held up. Number 7, discuss and take action on waiving any and all related fees, including planning and development and county clerk fees for John Stubblefield septic system.
Andy informed me that Kerry had fees too, and I was unaware of that at the time.
It's the filing fee for the actual
Okay.
piece. It's 26 for the first page and 4 for each edition.
But is it a county fee? It's not a state fee, right?
Part of that breakdown, I believe, goes to the county. I mean, goes to the state, yes.
I know we can't waive state fees,
There's
but
a chemical makeup of it.
we
of that
can,
amount.
we can waive the
Some
county
it
part
goes-
of it, so.
Don't know how we would split that out
No.
on what would be. I
The
mean,
county would need to pay the state fee if you chose to do that. We would still need to report it and pay the state.
I
How
mean, You're
much is
talking 30, tops maybe $40. I'm not sure what their. Because Andy called me, and if it's just the deed and stuff being filed, it's 26 to the first page and
So basically what, $30 or so? Or more?
possibly, and this is actually gonna be for the septic, so if it's going to be just for the one form that they do, it's gonna be $26.
Okay, well, if we can't waive it, we just can't waive it then.
We've had it come to court before. I did look Friday. There was one in the past that was requesting the county clerk fees to be waived, and from what I recall at this point, I don't remember us waiving the county clerk part.
Okay, well, let's just back off the county clerk part and stay with the other part. Okay, never mind.
The grant will pay for it, right?
Get it out of that. Anyway, we could pass on, because we've already waived the other part. We waived planning and development last.
Alright, pass on 7. Number 8, discuss and take action on usage opportunities for funds made available to Walker County through CDBG Hurricane Harvey Grant Contract 20-065-104-C27.
I called Grant Works and spoke to a representative about this. I was just curious as to how much we had and what we could do with it. And they're still kind of coming up with that number. There is like 600,000 there, but there's like a 500,000 expenditure. I think it's precinct 4 that they're looking at that to get that one closed out. Johnny Green is working on projects that we already did. See if we can go back to those for whatever money is freed up and apply some of this money to that. So at the end of the day, the comment was, we really don't know how much we have yet until, and I don't know if you know anything about yours or not, but until the precinct 4 one is done. And then there's a little bit more money left over. So probably a couple of more weeks and we'll have an idea.
Versus spending it on the projects we've got existing versus.
It has to be, yeah, it all depends. It has to be done like in the areas that have already been projected. So she's like, it might be go back and put more road material on a road you've already built or something like that. So let's say Johnny's looking at those and we'll hear back from him as to what he thinks we can. All right.
So I guess we'll just pass on that.
Yeah, we passed.
Number 9, discuss and take action on tax abatement agreement for Zenner USA. So this is the final agreement. Quentin reviewed it.
Yeah.
Anybody got any questions on that?
No, it looks okay. I seen it early. I think Clinton sent it out early for us.
Mhm. I'll make
I
a
don't-
motion to approve that.
I was like, 2 seconds.
Moving second, all in favor, say, raise your hand. Number 10, discuss and take action on advanced cyber tech and innovation collaboration tactic strategy development grant application. So the next 2 are grants that we got looped in through HGAC. These are for, the first part is a $500,000 grant to help get together and make a proposal for the second part through EDA, Economic Development Association for the state. Me and Brandon went down to HGAC, sat through a presentation on this. I sat through a couple Zoom conferences, me and Andy. These are gonna be at the end of it, a $50 to $75 million grant opportunity, and they're inclusive to, this first one's gonna be the east side of HGAC, so us down through Waller County. Basically, they're putting in, there's some machine work stuff, AI technology for bringing in corporations to the area. We're looped in because we're rural, and that gives them extra points, but it's also going to help us and Sam Houston get some grant money up here to bring in big businesses to establish corporations here. So you can use the money to do tax abatements, put infrastructure in, all kind of stuff. So it's, the next 2 grants are about the same timeline. One's the east side, one's the west side of the HGAC areas. So
Okay.
there's some information there. Y'all don't have to fill out grants. So all we have to do is fill out a letter and say that we would like to join. Y'all got the first information. It doesn't have Walker County on there because we haven't committed. Once we're committed, they'll add our little county in and some structures. So I've already wrote letters for both. Just waiting on y'all's approval.
Sounds good.
And this tie into.
So it does not. HGAC put everybody in one room, so there's not 14 or 15 applications. There's only 5 awarded in the United States. So they didn't want 20 of them. They narrowed it down. So we narrowed it down to 2. We've been asked to accept for 4. The other 2 were not far along at all. These all have websites and links, and they've been working on this stuff for a couple of years. The other ones kind of threw some stuff together in a couple of weeks. So I didn't feel comfortable attaching our name to the other 2. These 2, they have multiple counties attached, multiple economic development communities. small towns and all that. So I felt real comfortable with these two. HGAC backed these two and put us all in one room together. So that's my motion is to accept.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 11, discuss and take action on EDA Tech Hub synthetic biology grant application. This is the same thing, and that'll be my motion.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries. Number 12, discuss and review final calculations of the no new revenue tax rate and voter approval tax rate. Ms. Allen?
Did receive the final calculation from the appraisal district. The recalculated or the final was substantially less than the original draft. On page number 14 of your handout, the final calculated rate is 0.3977. The voter approval rate 0.4607. But I think our first number was
What page we got to? 14.
14, no, 15.
page 14.
Okay. Both pages, actually.
And also, we've been provided a copy on page 15 of the notice that will be published on the county's website. And then the actual calculation itself will be posted on the county's website. And then additional information will be posted on the appraisal district's website.
So they finally got to the 95%. They finally got to the 90. They finally got to the 95%. So
They have, oh, did they? The last
I'm not
time,
mad.
oh, you're asking.
Yeah.
The last time I talked to her Friday, she was very, very close and, expects to have, they have several more big ones that will throw them over. So they're close, very close, she said. But not there. That's
Okay.
might be there, not there.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody got any more questions?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We'll move on in the budget workshop then.
It was interesting.
So it's the new number and the recalculation. The available funds for reallocation substantially decreased. There was enough to do the 800 across the board raise for per FTE equivalent. Left about 30,000 after that, and at this point, I've moved that into the sheriff department budget for the fuel for the deputies that, but court can make any changes that you would like. On in your handout on page 41 is the detailed listing of all the supplemental reports that are included in the budget. Everybody there. I can go through and read them, or we can just, the court can just glance through them and see if you have questions, whichever you prefer.
This is
But-
pretty well what we talked about, right?
Yes,
I mean,
exactly.
nothing's changed.
The only thing that has changed is the 800 flat was added in that second line. And then if you go down to the sheriff's budget, you'll see the 30,304 was added to the operations field.
Okay.
You expected them to need 80, so they may come back.
I'm sorry, say it again.
You said that you expected to be 80,000 with the 4 new deputies.
80,000 is what we had to put in the fuel budget for the last, well, this year, we put in the 80. Last year, we put in 70 something. And the year before, I don't remember if it was 60, 70, but it's running, ever since the fuel increase, it's running 60, 80,000 already that we're having to move to contingency. And with the 4 deputies added that are going to be patrolling, that's going to increase that. We can take the 30,000 out of this line, move it to contingency if you prefer. But
Got to go in there either way.
it's going in there
And
anyway.
probably some more.
Yeah.
What I was
And
getting-
probably some
Yeah.
more.
By the
Yeah,
end of the
I would
year.
say we're probably still at the 60 to 70,000 that we'll still need.
Yeah.
And it appears fuel is
Up
up.
Again.
So we don't really know if it'll go up or go down, but hopefully go down, but
I don't say that, yeah.
but even if it goes back down, we'll be over.
Election year.
Yeah.
This one took a big jump.
Mhm.
That's what, 30 or something.
And the other thing I wanted to
Nobody knows what.
report, I know that you've been reading and keeping up with this, but on page 37 is information we got from the Texas Association of Counties on August 3rd. And this is just an update that they provided on the 3 grants that are out there. Not gonna apply till after January. They haven't got all of the rules set up yet. They're still working on the guidelines for that. But did want to make sure you had the very latest that we have based on the different grants that are out there. 3 grants, basically, one for the sheriff's department, one for the DA's department, and one for constables. It appears that the constables most likely we won't fall in their criteria. Sheriff's office definitely seems like we would fall in the criteria. And then the DA's office will fall in their grant criteria. What's still unclear, because it's not in writing all the rules, is that when that money will actually become available to spend.
Yeah.
So county would treat it as any other grant. Per our policy is that when the grant guidelines and the grant money becomes available, court would approve applying for it, set the conditions of what they want to apply for. And if we're awarded the budget, which if, as long as we follow the criteria, we should be, then the county would adopt the budget for that grant once we've actually been notified we've received it.
Right now, they pretty much just set aside a pot of money
Right.
and we'll have to figure out.
And they've set the limits of what different size counties can apply for.
Yeah.
But honestly, it's still not real clear on the salary ones, whether the grant actually covers the benefit cost or if that'll fall back to the county. So
Yeah.
there's still quite a few things that we don't know yet.
On all our talks on, what's that thing we get? Listserv, the extra cost on the health insurance and all is lumped into the salary, is the way they read it. That's our legal team. So I would think that would be covered.
Our legal team, the auditors.
Well,
won't fit.
Right, yeah.
There you go.
So that's what all the talk is on that listserv. So
Yeah.
on how they qualify, because they're trying to adjust their salaries for benefit.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, hopeful. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
you would assume logically it would cover it.
Yeah.
So we're hoping for sure. If not, the county has the project contingency and we have our special contingency. So the funds would be there to cover it, should the court decide to, and should we have to.
That'd be fun positions out of here.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
again, we don't have guidelines, but possibly being in supplements.
Yeah.
How we wound up with a second environmental position.
Among other positions.
Yeah, I remember that one particularly supposed to went away and it did not.
I don't know of any that's ever gone.
No, they always stay. They always stay.
Thank you for that.
I can note that out.
Got a motion on the table here?
No, we do not.
There's no motion. It really is,
Yeah.
this is workshops.
In the workshop,
And I-
right?
Did have anything else, be happy to go over any of the numbers or any of the summaries, but I think when you look at the supplemental request, it pretty much, it does detail out the changes to the budget.
I know it's late in the game, but I wanted to have a conversation about something that came up last week. I was actually out eating at a social occasion and I was sitting with Shane Lucina's wife and some other people. So of course we start talking shop. And he talked about his deputy and, or John's request for deputy and kind of back and forth on that. And our conversation pretty much was, there's absolutely zero traction on the court for a deputy in precinct 1 or precinct 2. There's that, you come 2-3 years in a row and we've been pretty clear of, we don't see it just yet. And if you wanted, and so we talked a bit more about the workload and what we could do to help them. So I challenged him then, this was Monday night. I challenged him, I said, look, come up with something new, a different idea and bring it. And if I like it, I'll take it to court and talk about it. So I emailed out over the weekend. I don't know if y'all got it or not. I hope y'all did.
I got it.
Okay. I emailed out. He sent me this letter and reading through it, it's new. It's a new idea. It doesn't cost a whole lot of money. And he presented it as a one-time kind of a trial balloon, kind of a pilot project. And basically, there's folks I haven't seen. I'm just going ahead and read the thing. That's all right, because folks here haven't done it. Greetings. This is a proposal to enhance the use of my reserve deputy constables to facilitate the service of civil process. If approved, this proposal will assist in fulfilling one of the missions of Precinct 2 Constable's Office, which is to deliver civil papers as quickly as possible in an efficient and effective manner. The program costs much less than hiring a deputy constable and will greatly improve the operations of my department. I'm proposing this to be a 1-year trial program to be evaluated prior to next budget year. If it proves to be successful, the model could be scalable to other precincts in the future if their workload demands. With my current and incoming reserve deputy constables, reserve deputy constables, I already have the basic resources needed, including a 2013 police Tahoe that currently has most of the necessary equipment and is in very good condition. So his proposal is to use reserve deputy constables to deliver civil papers. My proposal, and back to his thing, my proposal consists of 2 parts listed in order of my preference. Part B is not a requirement if the intention is only to serve civil papers. However, the upfit of the vehicle, and I'll read number B in a minute, will allow the reserve deputy to perform all the functions of a deputy constable. So option A is, I think maybe he has them back. Uplifting the existing vehicle. I guess it's like a hand-me-down or something that they use as a backup. 2 major items are needed. One is a WatchGuard in-car video system, approximately $7,000, and a laptop, $6,000. And then he puts a note, the video system and laptop are for officer safety reasons and are a legal liability requirement for police contact interactions. And then 2 would be fuel and maintenance costs. Well, this is part of A still. Fuel and maintenance costs for existing 2013 Tahoe would be monitored the first year and the budget supplemented if necessary using the maintenance contingency. And then B is I'm currently researching the possibility of the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement allowing the option of a line item in my budget to pay reserve deputy constables from within his line items. If the court is willing to consider this as a budget line item, I will get further details from T. Cole. So allocation of a 10,000 budget line item specifically for this purpose. This allocation would be used to pay for existing or future deputy reserve constables to serve civil papers during periods when the workload is too much for me to serve myself. Examples of times would include times when a large number of papers need to be served quickly, when I'm at the courthouse serving the district courts, bailiff at JP Court, executing writs, in training, or on vacation. Regards, Shane Lucier. So I visited with Shane over the weekend, and then I emailed this out to you. And I talked to him about the vehicle, and upfitting the vehicle, I think, is something we should do anyway. It's $15,000. But right now, if a constable hops in that vehicle, if Shane gets in that vehicle because his is in the shop for 2 or 3 days, he doesn't have the TV camera, laptop, or if somebody else comes and gets it, they don't have the TV camera and the laptop. And I'm not a expert on what's supposed to be in there, but he kind of stressed the fact that if they're doing any sort of traffic interactions or whatever, they're supposed to have a video and stuff like that working. So using the model that we did, I just happened to glance at y'all, so I'll throw y'all under the bus. Anyway, using the model we did for EMS, where we outfitted the backup vehicles where somebody could get out of one and get into the other without having to bring stuff with them, makes sense for that. Whether we do the other part or not, I think about a $15,000 upgrade or for him out of one-time money, not just for him, but for that vehicle would be nice. The other one is he has some research to do on that one. I don't, because talking to him, I was like, if he becomes my first question to him to start off with was, how come you guys don't contract out civil papers? So he talked to Quentin or legal, and they're like, we can't do that. I was like, okay, that's good to know. So if this reserve deputy is going to serve papers and we're going to pay him for it, I don't know where he gets paid from. I don't know if we put a part-time line item up top and make him a part-time employee with a cap of $10,000, or if it goes down in a purchase service contract and he becomes a contract person. I don't know that. And he doesn't know that. I don't think anybody knows that. And this is too short of a time frame to figure that out. So my thoughts on this was 2 things. One, we kind of cover both bases. We could put a $10,000 part-time salary line item in salaries with an asterisk and a note next to it saying this is a one-time allocation to revisit next year based on his report. If he doesn't use it, it just comes back out. If that's not the way it works, then it just comes back out. And then the 10, and let's say we can't do it that way, and they say, well, we'll use it through a purchase services contract or something to serve it to make it work the other way. He already has a purchase services line item in his budget. I looked at that yesterday. So he has the line items there. So with $10,000, we wouldn't necessarily even have to fund that one yet, because we have a contingency account that we could, if he starts getting charges, we can move money in there out of that if we have to. So that being said, I know that was a lot and it was kind of quick. I like the idea of doing the car. I think if we have a car on the road, it should be a legal car. It should have everything that every car has when it drives out. So I think 15,000 or so out of one-time money, which I'm pretty sure we could find that would make that work. The $10,000, I'm gonna call it a bookmark or a placeholder, just in case he gets all the questions answered and he gets cleared legally through whoever constables get cleared legally through. So we have it, so we'd have something in place. So I'm gonna put that out there for us to talk about. That's my monologue.
Yeah, well, I'm not against it by no means. I think it would be a program that I would like to look at and see if we could make it work. My question, I guess, would be to Shane, I mean, or legal, whoever we have to get these answers from, is can we actually, because we get paid, what do we get paid, carry service paper? Most of them $100. Can we just take and pay them by the paper to serve it and not give them a salary, basically just contract with them per paper?
Yeah, I don't know the answer to that.
That's what I would need to have an answer for.
And I think that's a challenge we put on
Let's
Shane
deal with it.
Yeah, and find out, hey, we think the idea is something that we're interested in looking at. It's worst case, we have a vehicle that is compatible with every other constable vehicle that we have. So I think it's almost like I really feel like we should do that.
So the vehicle bill, is that the vehicle that we had for them for Spur?
Evidently, I guess.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
everybody.
But it's
gets
assigned.
the Consensus of all four of them.
But I think it's assigned to precinct 2.
I thought we put it in central.
He told me you put it in 2.
Me?
Well, that it was either gonna go, that it's assigned. I mean, I mean, so that, but it was assigned.
7% on this. The only thing I remember it was the ambulance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
This was pre the.
My understanding,
we sent it to county judge and he keep it.
yeah, my understanding.
Can only have been transferred by court.
Yeah, so I don't know, but my understanding is it's assigned to precinct 2. If it's not, then your point is well taken.
Well, we set it aside as an extra vehicle.
Okay.
For all the companies.
So that,
I
so,
remember that.
so I think that's one of
We
the,
did, and I think we've kind of told
Alan,
Shane,
what you got, Alan?
It is assigned under Constable Sear, but it is parked behind the jail and surplus.
okay, so it is precinct 2, but I don't think there's a problem with exactly what you say. Let the other constables talk about it too. I mean, I think, because I really would like to see all 4 of them come up and say, you know, we're behind this. This is a good idea. Let's try this. And then, like I say, if it works, you know, because if we get $100 of paper and maybe we just pass it through,
it's just
that-
pass through money. I mean, basically,
$10,000 that's 100 papers, and their workload was, well, it was 250-ish papers, if I remember, but some of those were 2 or 3 and 4 trips.
Well, and that's kind of what I was wondering too. So if he's figuring this is 100 papers, it's basically $10,000, then, I mean, where does these 100 papers lie, you know?
Well, I think he wants to
If-
use
if
them.
he's an overload, because he sit there.
Yeah.
Well, and I specifically asked him, and I'm not knocking the whole deal, don't get me wrong, but I asked him specifically why he wasn't asking for a deputy, because he didn't ask his time, and he said he had his hand.
Well,
well, he's handling it at nighttime. He's handling it during Saturday and Sunday after church.
yeah,
Is he to the point that he needs one? Probably. Do we want to fund one? No.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You
know,
We're
so-
done, yeah.
So he
Yeah.
says that, again, they're gonna come talk to me about this when I say this, district court. That is an extra job that they have signed up for, all
Right.
4 of them.
Right.
So if they're using that for a reason, maybe we look at hiring a bailiff for district court and let them have their time back to go do their job.
They
The
get a
money's not
surplus, I
there.
think it's 5,800 a year.
It's 8,000 and something.
8,000 a year.
Can't hire somebody. Because you
but-
got 4, but that's the reason we've done it before.
But you
because
take
we have
32,000
Mhm.
plus whatever we start adding other constables for.
But it's not just one though. You have to hire
4
2.
or 3.
We're getting 4.
Well, they're paid 3 months at a time to come work one shift.
But that's a lot cheaper than hiring 2 employees.
It is.
And that's the reason they're.
Yeah, I know, but we've already we met a couple times. And it may not even be a full time, it may just be part time. We share a court with 3 other counties.
Well,
So-
but that's part to throw into the mix also. I mean, just like, hey, let's have the constables come in and say, we like this idea or not, or whatever. And then you could bring the district court in, but I think that's math on our side too. Like on the government side, we pay, so somebody is there every time we pick the phone up and call, not.
Yeah.
You know, we only need 2/3 of the time, and every now and then we need a third. If you need a third every now, then you have to have a third all the time, just there. So we have
You're gonna
4.
pay them regardless.
Yeah, they're gonna be there. So it's not a matter of we don't have that guy. That guy has to be there. So that part, but I think that's part of the conversation. Why not bring him in? So and if nothing else, his idea has kicked off some other ideas. You know, what can we do?
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you ought to look at it.
I think I really do. I would like to get the car upgraded. I think that's almost a standalone decision to me, because any constable that gets into that car, whether it's a reserve deputy or any constable, when he turns the key, it needs to be a legal, fully
I'd
out.
say just do that out of this year's budget and be done with it. It needs to be done regardless anyway.
Didn't
I'd
I
like
have
to know
anything in there
more.
before?
Question is, if it's in surplus, what
Yeah.
other mechanical
And then that's-
problems does it have?
He says it's in very good condition. That's what he says. And
Is that
I
his car?
can only go by what he said.
But I did have another constable tell me that it was not a very good car.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that needs to be figured out.
Well, let him-
They consider good cars.
Well, and exactly, and that's what I'm getting at, I don't know, is the transmission slipping in it, or are you just doing
Yeah,
the drive?
all my vehicles got 300,000 miles on it, so it's probably
Let's
a
let-
decent car to run.
Well, I think we,
Looking at that one.
Can legally, can reserve serve papers.
well, we don't know the answer to that.
Yes, they can serve.
Yeah,
papers.
he
I
serves
can answer
papers
that
already.
question for you, but can we pay them? I don't know.
Right. That, yes.
Serve papers, on the papers, there are certain papers that the statutes require that certain papers be served only by a sheriff or a constable or their deputies. Reserve deputy is a deputy of the constable. The issue that Shane's actually looking into is how to pay
Right.
reserve deputies. Generally, reserve deputies are not paid. They're volunteers.
Right.
And so, and there's, the benefit to them is their commission is being held, so they don't have to give up their T code. And, but there are circumstances where reserve deputies are being paid almost on a contract basis or a part-time basis.
Stipend maybe?
And and exactly, something along that line. He's looking into that to decide which way to go with that. But they can serve the papers. That a sheriff, constable, or their deputies can serve all papers.
Yeah.
A civilian can only serve certain papers.
Yeah.
So that's why it's much more beneficial to start exploring, helping out. You don't want to have Constable Central having to sort the papers by who can serve it or whatever. Use a reserve deputy or a deputy. Federal.
And I would make the point that Constable 2 did not make a request, Constable 1 did, and Constable 1
Mhm.
brought us a box of papers he hasn't served. So
Right. And Constable 1 did not bring us an alternative idea. So,
yeah, but you didn't ask him to either.
well, I understand that. I
I asked him
understand.
to bring numbers a year ago and he didn't bring those either.
So I mean, it's, I think
It's his own fault.
I like the idea of doing the car now, like you say, if the money's there now, do the car now. And I guess I want to back up on the 10,000 and not be sure that I'm kind of reading this right here, maybe not limit it strictly to just serving the civil papers. I think he wanted to be able to use him for other things. I don't know what else, but
I tied to the papers on this pilot
you
program.
think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Because the other part of it, I mean, the guy can do
Okay.
it. I mean, if he's out serving a paper or whatever.
Yeah.
He's an officer. He can respond to whatever call he needs to while he's out there.
Yeah.
But I don't want
Okay.
to, I don't want to intermix it, Bill.
Okay.
Let's try to get the pilot program
Simple.
and see if it's gonna work.
Okay.
Yeah, one, an alternate, of course, you put the 10,000 in Constable 2's budget.
Mhm.
Or leave it in contingency and then transfer it once he comes back with the actual.
And that's what I was going back with. Only part I didn't know, I know we don't like to mess with salaries once it's on a piece of paper. So if I have to put it somewhere, right, if I don't want to, if we can only pay him out of salaries, I don't want to miss that. So if we can stick it in contingency, because I know we have that
Right.
until we need it, we can move it over there later. Then that works. I think this puts the burden back on Shane now to build his program and come back with a bucket load of documents saying this is how fabulous this was, or you know what, it didn't work out. One of the
The
two.
constable's office basically is built for civil process. That's their main function.
Okay.
Now, can they do everything else an officer can do? Absolutely they can. But their purpose in life really is for civil process,
Okay.
so.
We can either add an additional 10,000 to contingency, just have the plan that after budget adoption, that it's known that there was thoughts of using part of that contingency for this program, whichever
Okay.
the court. And then we would, if in fact we end up paying the as a salary, we would do a budget order to amend the salary.
Up there. Okay. Anyways, that's my thoughts. I think it's doable. I like the idea that somebody came up with something different other than give me a $70,000 a year constable deputy. And I think we'll give him a shot at and see what he comes back with. I think.
Yeah, when I read it, I was kind of impressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We do
Takes a lot to
those
impress
papers
me.
Precinct 1 served, they are tax cases. I mean, property
Yeah.
tax cases, they need to be served.
Oh, I
You know,
agree.
I mean, there's a lot of papers that need to be served pretty quickly.
Yeah.
You know, and I know, I've talked to Shane and I know he's getting them done, but it's taking every ounce of his time, off duty, on duty, whatever you want to call it. They're on duty all the time, but
Yeah,
they.
No, I'm not talking about.
Yeah,
talking about one. Yeah.
but they continue to go after church and everything else. I mean, but some of those people you're gonna catch.
Right.
certain times.
Sunday night.
Something you couldn't serve on Sundays.
No, there's certain papers you can't serve on Sundays, but civil process you can.
You got anything else on constables?
Nope, that's what I got right there.
Leslie? You're up.
I'm not on the agenda, but, as y'all all know, I'm new, so I didn't know what, to present this to y'all or let you know what's going on. House Bill 1 was passed, late June, and, in House Bill 1 is attached a rider, and the rider fund is for TDCJ to submit or give to the district clerk's office $1,000 a month to process, TDC cases, answer mail, SPU cases, stuff like that. When I took office, that was one of my main things is to review the budget, because the office is pretty much as is when the previous clerk was here. So I've been looking at different ideas and reviewing the budget and looking kind of deeper into some things. Well, when I did review the budget, I saw that we were just getting $1,000 a month, just like other counties that had TDC facilities in it. To me, that did not sound right. We have 7 facilities here in Huntsville, along with headquarters, within school, regional medical facility, and the training academy. But we get all sorts of paper work from qualities. They can do offense on state property, goes through SPU and. So I reached out to Cal and worked with his staff in the LBB. And it was passed that instead of getting $1,000, $7,000 a month. So that's $84,000 a year that I'm gonna give you times the next 2 years. I have talked to Kyle some, but he came and visited the judge. He came and visited me too. And I talked to him about maybe getting, updating some of the computers in our office and doing some different things, and he was all for it. I even talked about possibly updating the technology in the jury room. And Mr. Cassell, Representative Fowler, indicated that he thought that was a grand idea and that he would help me or back me if I needed some information or paperwork or a letter to use these funds for doing that. So I'm just kind of trying to give you some positive things.
Awesome.
And I'm not here asking for any money or any name changes or anything like that. I just kind of wanted to give you an update on what was going on in my office and let you know that we are getting some more funds coming in, and I'm going to continue to work with Representative Alcasol and his staff and the LBD and the future, and looking and see what else we can provide for our counties. We have a lot of state property in this county, so anything that we can get to help, I think is very much needed in this county. So
Good job, Leslie.
Thank you.
thank you. We start getting the funds for the state. It's 9/1. So I'm having to get myself used to y'all's fiscal year versus, or the county's fiscal year versus the state fiscal year. So I'm going to be going to Austin the end of the month and attending a legislative session roundup that I've been asked to attend. So I'm going to get more information then, and Representative himself had stopped by his office, so I'm going to stop by and talk to you.
That's awesome.
But I just wanted to bring that to you. I think that this money will help, and my goal, I've already talked to Quentin on some things about maybe getting some technology updated in the courtroom and for our jurors. So that's what I plan on doing with it. Some of the money and some other little projects that I have in store. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to y'all, let you know what's going on with the district clerk's office.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Very good job.
Yeah, she's the only one that brought us money.
Yeah. Yeah. So where did we wind up on the constables? Because we didn't get a consensus.
What I heard was that we were gonna fix the car this year,
This
find
year.
out what's the matter with it, upfit it.
If it's
I mean,
worth
this year's
fixing.
budget.
Right, evaluate it and, right, evaluate the car and upgrade it, yeah.
And then contingency amount in the budget will not change. But it's very likely the court will come back and allocate a portion of that contingency for a civil paper serving
If we can figure it out how to
contractor
do it. yeah.
program in next year's budget.
Okay, that's if he can get it through legal.
Right. That's a challenge on him.
Okay,
The money would just come out of our budgeted contingency next year if court does.
okay,
Based on what we were just told, though, I would recommend that we modify our proposed budget to add that extra
Heck, yeah.
6,000 a month, and then we'll put that in contingency in that legislative fund so that that's budgeted to spend next year.
sounds
And
good.
there are definitely strict ties to how that money can be spent, so.
That's what I was gonna ask you.
So I'll go through all that and see what.
You can't have it, Bill.
I wasn't gonna ask for it. I was gonna ask her if we could put a little asterisk by it and tie it back to our
Absolutely.
district clerk.
Sorry, Bill.
Any left over I would take. If you can't spend it, I'll be happy to help you. I do have that skill.
Not general fund money.
All right.
Oh, what a shame.
Anything else?
Nope.
Is that it,
You
Miss
need to
Allen?
See us again, Miss Allen.
Monday?
See y'all next week with
Hopefully.
the draft budget based on what you've got now. So if you're pretty cemented in what you want, then
I
we'll
think so.
get that document prepared.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I think we're in stone now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
Thank you, huh?
We got any citizens input?